Hi everyone, and welcome to the REFSIX Weekly podcast vlog, episode 2. I'm joined by John. How are you getting on, John?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. Busy weekend for me. 2 games. I had both sort of Saturday league, which is step 7, I think, and a Sunday league game on the Sunday, which is quite unusual for me. Usually I do one a week. But yeah, all good. How about yourself?
Yeah, for me it was a pretty chilled out weekend. I had a weekend off with family, watching some of the games. Pretty incredible Premier League weekend, to be honest. But yeah, let's dive into it. So should we first, before we go into the news, we asked a question last week. It was about the Man City Leicester game and Michael Oliver giving 3 penalties. We asked, was that the most ever given in a game in the Premier League? And it wasn't. So John Moss actually gave 4 penalties in a game in 2014, actually with Man City. Against Spurs. So yeah, four penalties in a match. Have you ever given that many in a game?
I can't say I've given more than 2, to be honest. Actually, no, I lie. I've given 3 because it happened the other week.
Really?
Yeah, at Pagham I gave 3, but 4 is there's got to be a lot happening in the box for 4, I think.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever given more than, I can't remember off the top of my head, but 2 maybe, 3, and then I think 2 is probably what I netted out at. I think that's the most. So yeah, let's start with some news. The main news, we'll touch on a variety of different stories, but the main news for me was Bibiana Steinhaus, female referee from Germany. She actually did the Bundesliga, the German Super Cup final. So that's, I think, the same as our charity Community Shield.
Yeah.
Borussia Dortmund against Bayern Munich. So she became the first female referee to take that game, and then announced a few hours before the game that she was going to retire. So that was her last game. She had an excellent performance, but she's had an amazing career. She's done the Women's World Cup final in 2011, the Olympic gold medal final in 2012 in London. Both games were USA Japan. She became the first female to referee in the Bundesliga the same year she did the Women's Champions League final. So she's had an incredible career, and it's a shame to see her go. But obviously, time catches up with you, and it's probably the right time for her to hang up her whistle, as it were. So that was a big news in Germany.
Yeah, what way to go out though, in terms of the 2 biggest teams in Germany.
Yeah.
The first female to do it. Yeah, what way to go out. For me, I'm bringing it back into England. So Darren England refereed his first Premier League game since becoming a Select Group 1 referee, so basically a full-time Premier League referee. So congratulations to him. He refereed Wolves' 1-0 win at Fulham.
Okay.
Again, just like I said last week, a fairly invisible performance from him, which is, as official, something that we want, get in, get out. And Bobby Madley's back. He refereed his first game back in England since his sort of holiday in Norway. He refereed Morecambe versus Port Vale, which was 1-0 to Morecambe, and Bobby Madley awarded a penalty as well. So a lovely way to welcome him back to England.
Definitely. Another German official, Dr. Felix Brick, became the referee with the most appearances as a referee in the Champions League. He officiated a qualifier between Salzburg and Tel Aviv. That puts him in 58 games in the Champions League. That surpasses Kim Milton-Nielsen, the Danish referee. So pretty cool. And the current active official that's close to him is the Slovenian Demis Kamina, who's on 51. So he may be coming pretty close as the season progresses, I guess. A couple of other things. The National League kicked off on Saturday with a few different games. 3 penalties and all given. I saw, and yeah, pretty great start. Great to have the National League back,
definitely.
Even though it's October, but great to have them back. Hopefully fans can come back soon. And again, last one for us is a little bit selfish, but it's our birthday as REFSIX today. It's our 4th year we've been going as a business, so it's a pretty cool milestone to get to 4 years, and it's all going strong and really well. So thanks to all those who are REFSIX users listening to us now, and thanks for being part of our journey. So we're going to move on to a topic of the week, and it's a strange one. I think most people saw this happen, last week in the Carabao Cup match between Tottenham and Chelsea. So the thing we're talking about today is Eric Dier leaving the field to have a comfort break during the game. And in truth, there's no reason, everything that happened with this incident during the game was completely correct and above board. But what I wanted to chat about is some different variants, like how do we deal with that at our level, and what happens if certain things happen. So were you watching the game at all?
No, I wasn't watching the game, but I saw on Twitter there was a big commotion about Eric Dier leaving the pitch, and I didn't know why, so obviously it took a little bit of digging, but then
it was strange watching it because I don't think the TV picked it up. The TV picked up Jose Mourinho running after him, which was interesting because we weren't sure. I wasn't sure watching whether or not he's just stormed off because he's had enough.
Yeah.
But it turned out that he went to the toilet and Mourinho was basically trying to hurry the process along, which was quite interesting. But obviously he came back on. He after doing his business, he came back onto by the fourth official and was allowed on by the referee. Completely in law correct. But what I wanted to chat about specifically is, have you ever given a yellow card for someone leaving the field of play or re-entering the field of play without permission?
Never leaving, because usually at our level, if they're leaving, it tends to be for injury purposes. It's the re-entering. I think I've given a few for re-entering because obviously they gain an advantage by doing that, don't they? It can be for injury, which is a bit annoying for the sort of attacking team or defending team, whatever is happening at that time. But the rules are there for us to things.
Sure. So I don't think I've ever given a yellow card for either of these. I can't recall anyone. So that's interesting. I think as we look through our data at REFSIX, it is probably the least amount of yellow cards are given for those categories.
Definitely.
So what I'm interested in is kind of playing this a little bit out and forward. So if Eric Dier just ran back on the pitch, right, instead of going to the fourth official, just ran straight back on the pitch, what's the situation there?
The situation there for me is I wait. Like if the fourth official's told me, obviously, luckily, if I do have a fourth, he's told me that he's run on and it's just sort of bolted past him. I wait for the ball to go out of play and then caution him.
Completely correct in law. I guess the question at our level when we don't have a fourth official is how do we have those signals between yourself and your assistant referees, right? First, how do you know he's gone in the first place? Because it is quite hard to keep track of 22 players. If one on a Saturday or a Sunday league on the parks or whatever, if one player just went off to the toilet really quickly, it's hard to your eyes focused on the ball and the active play. So how would you? Let's say you were the assistant referee, I was the referee.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm down one end watching the game going, and all of a sudden one of the players leaves, but it's completely behind my back.
Yeah.
Would you get involved there? Would you let me know? And if so, how would you let me know?
It's a bit of a tough one in terms of that. Like if you know that he's going to the toilet, you sort of know like he's running off. Like I could shout over and be like, "Fella, what's going on?"
Yeah.
And then if he says, "Look, I need the toilet," great. Then I probably wouldn't inform you. I'd tell him when he comes back to wait there.
Sure.
As like my responsibility if I'm standing there.
Yeah.
If it's a dead ball, I might buzz you, or if you're close to me, I'll like shout over and be like, "Hassan, 6 has gone off. He's gone to the toilet."
Yeah.
But that's what I'd do as an assistant. It's quite difficult to relay that message if we don't have buzzers. Like I might flag, but I don't want to get too busy.
Yeah.
So
you're hoping really that I'm going to run in close proximity to you.
Yeah, basically.
And that the ball goes out of play at some point, so you can just give me a quick message saying number 6 is off the pitch, etc. Okay. I agree with that. I wouldn't, if I was the assistant and roles are reversed, I don't think there's a need there to make a big commotion about it. I think you note it, and then you've got to be wary of that player coming back on now, right? That's the key thing.
Yeah. I also think players will give you that indication. Like teammates would be like Jim's just gone off. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Someone will have an inkling of what's going on, and then you pick up on that. Like, hang about, they're saying that one of their guys has gone off. So
Yeah.
I've got sort of, you'll have one eye over there anyway.
Sure.
Like
Waiting
waiting for him to come on. I think
Okay.
like players aren't stupid; they pick up on things quickly.
Yeah.
And like if defending or attacking team would be like, right, they're down to 10 men. Doesn't matter how long for, but we could have a break here. They switch on quite quickly to stuff like that.
Sure. Okay, cool. So, what I think is an interesting scenario, if we were to play it out, would be Eric Dier running back on the pitch without permission,
Yeah.
and then making an attempt to play the ball. So I think that's a yellow card and an indirect
So
free
it's a
kick.
foul, yeah. So he runs on without telling anyone,
Yeah.
and then commits a foul.
Commits a careless foul.
Careless foul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's a free kick.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my notes just
Yeah.
to make sure.
A
But-
careless foul would be a free kick
Yeah.
against Eric Dier, and then a yellow card for re-entering the field play without say so.
Yeah.
Because it's careless. Yeah. I'm assuming then if we go into play something that you pray never happens,
Yeah.
he comes on and commits a reckless challenge.
Yeah.
Then we're sort of
Then we're on the line of, well, they've committed, or he's committed 2 cautionable offences
Yeah.
separately.
yeah.
So therefore, you have to administer both
Yellow cards, yeah.
and say you can go to the toilet now.
Yeah.
You know, like you can
Shower
take as
as
long
well,
you
yeah.
can take as long as you want. So thank God that doesn't happen. But again, this is where we as referees, can we preempt that? Like for me, you've got to be aware that the player's gone off in the first place. Because
Yeah.
in Sunday League, it could happen that he's gone off, he's come back on, you've not even noticed.
Yeah.
So how do you stay aware of that? Is it just like trying to listen out? Because probably the players will be saying something, right?
Yeah, on Sunday League it's slightly different. Like their toilet is a bush about 50 yards away,
Sure.
so you can see the guy running off realistically.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? The ball goes around quick enough that you're almost on the swivel 24/7. So you probably be able to pick up that he's run off to the bush. It's the getting on that's an issue, I think.
Mhm.
Like you're looking around and then you think you were off a minute ago.
Yeah.
And how long has it taken you to pick that up?
Yeah.
That you realise that you haven't called him on.
Yeah.
I think is the hard part.
Especially he may have played the ball, right? And
Yeah.
you haven't clocked it or anything. So in those cases at the lowest levels, are you cautioning? Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Players know the rules in terms of and law in terms of that they can't re-enter without,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean, being told by us that it's safe
Mhm.
to come on or that they can come on. They know that.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a law that people think, oh, it's a bit iffy. Like we
Sure.
don't understand that one. Like they know it's black and white. Don't
Yeah.
come on without.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So, yeah, strange incident that happened. It got a lot of attention. The officials obviously managed it in their situation, but definitely for us at our level, the rarity that this may happen is just having these tools or ideas of how I'm going to communicate with my assistants, how my assistants can communicate with me,
Yeah.
and just trying to be aware of those random things that can occur and be prepared for them, I guess. So,
Yeah.
cool. All right, that was the piece around Eric Dier. Let's move on to your first your first experience using REFSIX. So, just to give some context to those listening, John joined the REFSIX team in February.
Yep.
And we basically made him use REFSIX during his games, just to basically, obviously, get to grips with our product,
Yeah.
but then also give me feedback and the team feedback on what worked well and what didn't. So I want to pass it over to you to kind of describe, I guess, your first experiences using it, but actually maybe your thoughts before using it, right? Like why you didn't use it in the first place would be really interesting to put you on the spot about.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about your first experience, and then we can maybe look at some of the data from your games this weekend and chat through some of that. How does that sound?
Yeah, it sounds great. I know there's this. Obviously, we joked about me being forced to use it, but before coming into REFSIX, as you know, I was a Garmin user.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of like stats, looking at my running. I've always been a keen runner, keen sportsman. So Garmin gave me those stats that I liked: how far I've run, how fast I've run, heart rate data.
Sure.
So that's why Garmin. And I grew up like at 14, got my first Garmin, stayed with them all the way through.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously being able to use an Apple Watch is a bit of a game changer for me. I love it as well. But yeah, I had the same queries as most people do, like, do assessors like it?
Mm-hmm.
Will it work? Will it bug out? Technology is a thing that most people find hard to get used to.
Mm-hmm.
Buzzer flags, again, were a massive thing. Like, when they first come out, people were skeptical. Do people become over-reliant on them?
Yep.
Will they work in the rain? Do you know what I mean? They're electronics. We all have these sort of issues.
Mm-hmm.
So they were my main things. Like, I didn't want to lose sort of my match pad in terms of, like, if it rained and the watch cut out, that's me in real trouble, basically.
Sure.
So, and obviously the big one is assessors.
Yeah.
They can be the most picky human beings on the planet, and you basically don't want to give them a reason to fire at you. So yeah, I had the same questions as most people, to be fair, and then I used it, I grew into it, if that makes sense. So for the first couple of games, all I used it was for timers, which I quite liked, because at Garmin it's, you know, you get to 45, you pause it, and then you're adding, when it gets to 60, it doesn't start again, if that makes sense. It doesn't go to 80, 90, it goes back to 0 almost. So you're like, okay, I've booked him in the 45th plus 21, then trying to work it out in your head. So the time is going up. It's obviously a massive thing.
So you set your second half to go from 45 to 90, right?
Because then I know what minute the game we're in. I just, for me mentally, especially when doing admin as well, helps me a lot more.
Cool.
So then after the game is where I find a lot of the benefit. Like, I love looking at my heat map. The sprint map I find really, really enjoyable to look at. In terms of, like, I can see how fast I've run. Like, there are times where you think I felt fast. Like, you're breezing past the centre mid, you're like, yeah, see you later. And you feel fast, and you like looking at back and be like, that's the one. And you can see that as a visual aid, and then, like, heart rate data. Like, as weird as it sounds, you can walk off the game and be like, that was tough. But you look at your heart rate data and be like, yeah, it was. But you can walk off a game and be like, I felt like I coasted that, but your heart rate data says that you still had a very tough game. So it's quite interesting to, like, back up what you already feel, use that data to back how you feel, and that's really why.
Because there's two types of tough game, right? There's a physically tough game and a mentally tough game.
Yeah, definitely.
And normally they occur together, right? Would you say? But yeah, so I find that when I use the app is coming off and feeling like I had a tough game, and the stats kind of back that up in some way, right? And then being able to compare the level of kind of physical exertion each game. So I can be like, okay, well, this was a tough game, but it wasn't as tough as this game that I had 3 weeks ago or something. So,
definitely. It's great to compare. With obviously, I've only reached my 10th game. Actually, I did 11 and 12 this weekend. But obviously now the trends data becomes a lot more valid. After 1 or 2 games, you're taking an average of 1 or 2 games, which isn't ideal. But after 10 games, you've got, like, a nice data, and I can see how far I've run, how many average sprints I do. And it's quite interesting to, like, compare the leagues, if you will. So obviously I do county league most of the time. And I did Sunday league this week, and the difference in how much I run to how much I sprint was quite interesting to look at.
Was your distance a lot smaller?
So I run more on a county league game. But I had more high intensity sprints on the Sunday league game.
Is that because it's going back and forth? Long balls?
It's long ball central. So you're obviously, you've got to keep up with play, so you're spending more time to try and get to the other end.
Interesting, No, that makes sense. I feel that makes sense.
Cool. And then what about like actually using it in a game now? Are you at the point where you're doing cautions and stuff like that?
Yeah, so it's actually part of my pre-match now. Like, I'm annoyed if I don't charge my watch enough, because then I know that I can't do it. I put all my cautions on there. I'm a lazy ref. I'm the first one to hold my hands up. Admin, I hate doing. Yeah, I like refereeing. That's the bit I enjoy. The admin on the other side is something that really I don't enjoy. Like, I've done the game.
Same as me.
Yeah,
completely same.
I've done the game. I don't want to be looking at these two faffy bits of paper.
Yeah,
it really bugs me. Whereas obviously, if I've done all my cautions on REFSIX, then it's easy. I just get my phone out. Do you know what I mean? It's all there straight away. I don't have to faff about. Because what I do is, when the assistant referees do the subs, on the piece of paper. I put it into my phone as well.
Yeah.
So I've got all the data
Cool.
while I'm at the game.
And then it's easy to do all the match reports when you get home.
Yeah, so much easier because I don't have to go into my bag and be like, oh great, my boots have got on them now, so they're all muddy.
Cool. And what about? Do you have sim bins in any of your games? Or
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I haven't actually given too many. I've given 2, but I've used REFSIX for one of them.
Yeah.
And that is definitely handy because obviously you've got 2 watches anyway.
Yeah.
And you'd need a third, and they're going to start coming up my arm, and that's not very comfortable.
Cool. So yeah, obviously the timer counting down, letting you know how long's left. So
yeah,
that's probably one of my favourite features that we've launched, is being able to keep track of all of the sim bins that are occurring. Also, if there's an injury or a stoppage during that sim bin, it adds that time onto it and all of that stuff. So it's pretty cool.
It's one of those things you don't think about though. Do you know what I mean? Like as a referee, you're like, wait, you don't think about it until it happens.
Yeah.
Like you're about to do a sim bin, you're like, oh my god, I've only got 2 watches.
Yeah.
And you think that this is it. What do I do? Do I sacrifice added time, or do I just keep pressing? Like hope to remember that he's gone off in the 41st minute, and remember that he's got to come off in the 51st in the second half.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something. So that feature is great because it's something that
peace of mind.
Yeah, it's so much easier.
Should we go through your game from this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely.
Some stats. So, okay, so just loaded up your my REFSIX, so you can go on your browser and look at it. So we'll go into the results. So yeah, you've had quite a few games now, a few cards on the side.
Yeah.
So we'll go into this Sunday League game here. Hove Lions against Grenadier. We'll go into your stats and talk us through it. So like, how are you reading these stats? What does it give you?
So from this, I spent a lot of time camped in one half. Like you can see here.
So that's actually both halves, right?
Yeah.
Which is strange because if I look at this, I see 7-0.
Yeah.
And I think, okay, well, yes, it makes sense that you'd be in one half, but one half one side and then the other half the second side, right? Which your heat map isn't showing really that.
No, and the game didn't reflect that either.
Okay.
So Hove Lions, the team that lost 7-0, were probably the better team in the first half and spent a lot of time attacking. So I expected it to be similar the other way around.
Sure.
But this other team, Grenadier, turned up in the second half and scored 7.
7 in the second half.
7 in the second half. It was 0-0 at half time.
Hence why
I'm very much still attacking. Or it looks like I'm attacking one goal really, because that's basically what happened. A game of 2 halves.
Really interesting. So what? And it wasn't downhill. It wasn't a big slope.
No,
Right?
it was
just
very flat pitch, a bit wobbly, but that's what it is when you're playing on the parks. But from the heart rate data, you can see I didn't work too hard. I had an average.
Oh, so here we go. You got your heart rate zones here.
Yeah, I didn't spend any time in the top 2 zones.
Yeah.
Not 1 minute.
So it's a pretty chilled out.
Yeah, like I had a max heart rate of 144, which is not even 80% of my average heart rate.
But you sprinted a lot, it looks like, on this sprint map.
Yeah, so I found that I spent a lot of time trying to ping into different positions in terms of the keeper would get it and I knew it was going over the top because it was a fairly small pitch. So a big kick of the keeper and you can almost put another guy through.
Yeah.
So I had to get to the other line because as bad as it sounds, but players at that level aren't great. Clumsy challenges happen. And you've got to be on top of it. So a lot of sprints, like 2 big sprints in there, had to happen really.
Really interesting. So let's just have a look through. I'm going to pick up. So this game let's filter it just by your games that are referees, right? So let's do that. Just the games that you are refereeing. Here we go. So Saltdean is a county league.
County Premier.
So we saw that you did. Let me just go back.
7.3, I think it was.
7.8 on that game in the Sunday League, and then on your county league game you did 2 kilometers more. So you did 10 kilometers. Your heat map's a lot kind of more varied. You're obviously going end to end. There's no big red patches because you're all over the pitch. So Really interesting, but no high intensity sprints.
No, but you'd probably say there's a lot more little sprints.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So in terms of like, as a referee, like you're darting to get just around the player so you get a better angle, or the ball's come over the top and he flicked it on like deliberately, so you've got to just put a little bit more of a little sharp one in, rather than like a long big
Full
one up there.
pitch sprint, yeah.
To get to the other side, really.
So this is all to do with the style of play of the teams, really.
Yeah, definitely. You can see there are a lot more sort of in between the two boxes as well,
Mm-hmm.
rather than the other one was sort of outside. I was going all the way wide, squeezing the other assistant, whereas these are very much in between the penalty areas.
Sure. And then your heart rate zones kind of show that this was a tougher game down here, right? So you're spending a lot more time in your third and fourth zone here.
Yeah, and my max heart rate was 170 rather than 144.
Yeah.
So in the last game, my max heart rate was 144, and this time my average heart rate is 149.
Okay.
So my average beats my max for this game. And that's because players are fitter, they're faster, like you have to keep up with the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just up and down, it's sort of, the best way that one of my coaches described it was, you should be following the tempo of the ball. So the ball is your pedometer.
Yeah.
If the players are playing it quickly,
Mm-hmm.
you should be moving quickly.
Interesting.
If the ball is rolling slowly and they're playing it out from the back, then you have that ability to
Slow
your game down.
Interesting. That's a really good way of putting it, right? Use the ball as your pedometer. That is interesting. That dictates the pace. Cool. So we're going to move on to a sudden death quiz. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is where me and you are going to compete over a random topic, and we'll go back and forth like tennis, and we've got to come up with an answer.
Yeah.
Okay. So Luke, who's off camera, is going to tell us if we're right or wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep the score over here as we go.
Yeah.
So as soon as one of us says something wrong, game over.
Yep.
Okay. So this week's topic is referees who have officiated as a referee in the Premier League.
Just referees, not assistants.
Just referees.
Okay.
So we're going to go back and forth until one of us gets it wrong. So we're either going to look amazing or really stupid, or you're going to look really stupid.
Yeah, I've got
which
a feeling.
is probably most likely.
Yeah, I've got a feeling I could be in trouble here.
So do you want to start?
Yeah, go on then, I'll start.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna 10 seconds though, right? We've got to play it quick.
Back
It's
and
gotta come
forward,
back
yeah.
and forth, because no searching in the depths of your mind. Okay, go for it.
Okay, Mike D.
Mike Dean was the obvious one. I've already put my 1 point on.
Yeah.
Andre Mariner,
Michael Oliver.
Michael Oliver, Pawson, Craig Pawson.
Andre Mariner.
I've just done Andre Mariner.
Have you?
Yeah, the first one I did. Shall we keep going? Okay, you've got to go again. Keep
Okay,
going.
Roger East.
Roger East, great one. Phil Dowd,
Tim Robinson.
Tim Robinson, local lad. Rob Jones.
Oh God, see, I'm in real trouble already.
I know, because
I've already lost.
You've said two already on this podcast.
Kevin Friend.
Oh, Kevin Friend, cool. I'm going to steal yours from earlier. Darren England.
Ah, that sucks. Oh, see, no, I'm in real trouble here.
Everyone listening and watching is so you've lost all credibility.
Yeah, I've lost everything. After having a great chat for the last half an hour, I've lost everything. Howard Webb.
Mark Clattenburg.
Graham Poll.
Graham Poll, good one.
His book's over there.
That doesn't... Let me just show you this. Behind me, I've got the last two answers of John's referee guesses. Okay, so who have we not had? You're gonna hate me for this one. Gary Willard.
Oh, that was my next one. No, Martin Bodnam.
There you go. That's a good one. Okay, now it's about remembering who you've said or not. So I think Andy Madley.
Oh, Bob Madley.
There you go. Now my mind is going blank.
Bob Madley is not on the list.
That's Robert Madley.
Robert Madley. It's fine. We'll let him have that. It's Bobby Madley. But Okay, so we have not had.
I've got two more as well.
Who have we not had? Oliver Langford.
Okay, is it Brian McDermott who does the? Is it McDermott? He does Ref Watch.
Brian McDermott.
Oh, I can't think of his name.
No, his name is not Brian. Brian McDermott was a Reading manager from a while back.
Okay, no, I've
You're
got it.
thinking. I know who you're thinking. About.
Yeah, I can't think it. Neil Schwarzberry or Buckley. I know it's along those lines.
Neil Swarbrick.
That's the one.
You're not having that.
Well,
I like that.
You're allowing that.
yeah.
No way. Dermot Gallagher.
That's the one. Mark Riley.
Pulling it out. I don't think we've had Mark Halsey.
No, we haven't. I'm surprised I've got this far, to be fair.
I'm pretty. Well, I'm worried now because my mind's starting to blank.
Who's that? Mike Housley?
Mark Halsey.
Mark Halsey.
Halsey. I'm sure there's loads that are active now.
Yeah, see, I can already feel the hate coming on Twitter about me already. I can just feel it coming. Yeah. I can't,
Are you done?
I think I am done. Oh no, Auntie Taylor.
Jesus. Simon Hooper.
Okay, now I am in trouble.
Oh, we've forgotten active FIFA referees.
Have we?
Yeah.
Mark Atkinson.
Yeah. Not active FIFA, but yeah.
That was, I think
Paul Tierney.
David Coote.
Good one. Chris Kavanagh.
Craig Pawson said. Andy D'Urso.
Okay, so who? Alright. Keith Hackett.
John Moss.
Who was he? What was his name?
He actually spells his name properly. Jonathan.
No, it's Jonathan.
Brian Knight. Is that one on there? What?
It's not on there.
There's a Knight.
It's not Brian though.
Could this be a victory?
Okay. Neil Barry.
No.
American president.
I want to say, well, that's not Trump, is it? No, I can't.
You gone?
Yeah, I think I'm gone. But you've got to come up with one more too.
Olympic cyclist.
Or
Oh.
something more.
They're not exactly the same. They're similar.
I don't know.
Chris Foy.
Chris Foy. I should have got that.
I'll take that. I'll take that as a win. That was. I feel like we could have done better. I feel like the pressure in this room has not helped us.
I agree, but 16 for me, considering I almost, well, equivalently bottled it. Three.
Yeah.
I'll take 16.
Okay, cool. So I'm sure you were listening or watching along and screaming at us for probably some horrible mistakes, or just I can't remember. There's so many from the 2000s and 90s that we've missed out there.
Yeah, I feel like we pulled out some pretty randy ones as well. Like Andy D'Urso was a fairly outlandish shout.
I think everyone will remember Andy D'Urso. He was a good ref.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I think Gary and Martin got a good shout there. So cool. So thanks to everyone for listening and for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed that random combination of news from refereeing, talking about some incidents that have recently happened, John's first experience, and our sudden death match. And we'll be joining you and everyone next week for another REFSIX Weekly.